Hello, my name is Jacob Glazner, and this is my presentation on the standard operating procedures. So the accident that I chose was actually a personal accident. Well, not personal for me, but at the airport that I used to fly out of. There was an accident at their flight school where a pilot, him and a passenger flew on a leg of about 300 nautical miles away from the airport and then tried to return back to the home airport that they left from. Now, they were in a Cessna 172, but the aircraft, if you lean it out the right way, it could make 600 nautical miles with less weight in it and all the math behind that, but he was not leaning out the aircraft the right way. He did not have enough fuel to get to the destined airport and then back to the home airport on one fuel tank, or on both tanks, but on no refuel. He went all the way there, didn't refuel, and tried to make it all the way back without refueling, and therefore he ended up crashing about 25 nautical miles away from the destined airport. So he was close, but he didn't make it back because he did not do the proper pre-flight planning for it. So the crash was due to fuel exhaustion because the pilot eventually ran out of gas and crashed about 25 nautical miles away from the home airport. So the result of the accident, the pilot and the passenger, they survived the crash, but they had major injuries. I know that one of them had, I think, one broken leg. I know that both of them had broken arms. So the crash was pretty serious, but they survived the crash and they were able to live life after the crash, which a lot of pilots have. They're not as fortunate and end up going with the plane and not surviving the crash. But the pilot made an emergency landing 25 nautical miles away from the airport, and he was aiming for streets because he didn't want to go into the trees, but all he had was one residential street that had houses on both sides and was aiming straight for that street to try to avoid property damage and all that whenever he were to make the emergency landing. Whenever he came down in for the landing, eventually he hit a light pole, which snapped off the right wing and then just bellied the plane right into the grass of somebody's front yard. The plane was not salvageable, but the plane didn't catch on fire after the crash because he was completely out of gas. So the FAA was easy to determine that the pilot crashed due to fuel exhaustion. Now, the standard operating procedures, the FAA requires pilots to have 30 minutes of minimal fuel by the time they land at their destined airport. At night, well, that's for 30 minutes is for day VFR. At night, it's 45 minutes for night VFR. So the pilot needed to do the proper pre-flight planning to understand that he was not going to make it to the airport and back without refueling. So whenever he made the first destined airport, he should have stopped there, refueled, and then came back. But really, my thing on it is that pilots should have personal minimums. My personal minimum would be that I have 1 hour of fuel no matter where I go. I always want to have 1 hour fuel just in case I hit IMC, I hit IFR, and I cannot make it to the destined airport that I'm trying to. So personally, I like to have 1 hour of reserve fuel in the tanks by the time I land at my destined airport. If I go under that 1 hour, I'm trying to find a self-serve station, contacting FBOs, trying to find somewhere that I can refuel and top off the plane so that I have enough gas to go wherever I need to go. Now, it's very easy to promote this after seeing an accident because you see what happened and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I need gas, and that's one way to promote it, because then you don't want to be another statistics on the FAA's website. You don't want to be another statistic. So my best way to give out information about this would be to set personal minimums. Only go to a certain amount of fuel in your tanks that meets the FAA requirements, but then add a little so that you make sure that if you have to go to an alternate airport, you have enough gas to get there, because you don't want to start flying in another direction. All of a sudden you're out of gas. You have 2 gallons in your tanks, you got 10 minutes to find somewhere to go, and you just need fuel. You gotta have fuel. Thank you.